All right.
Where you going?
This is April 2nd, 1997.
My birthday.
Your birthday?
Yeah, it's my birthday.
So
Happy
good.
birthday.
Happy birthday.
My husband's too.
Oh,
Is that right? Oh.
We're at Mildred Wilson house in Highlands, and we're getting ready to record the Zachary family. Lyman and Bert Zachary family and their ancestors. And kids and grandkids and great-grandkids or whatever we have going at the moment. If you would first maybe just tell me your parents. We'll start with the Lyman Zachary family, and if somebody would just tell me your parents and their grandparents and where they came from, then we'll get back and list all the children and their children and all that stuff. And then we'll go to Jesse's from Berkstein. Just let somebody start and everybody just fall in and talk, and let's just, you don't have, it's just informal, so it doesn't really make any difference. Just talk like we were talking a while ago.
You're going to talk, you want our parents now, and you want their grandparents?
Your father's name was Lyman what?
Lyman Zachary.
What, is that the only name you had, Lyman?
Yeah.
Lyman Zachary. And he married?
He married Dora C. Chastain.
And her parents were?
Her parents was Aylar and Amanda Chastain. Aylar and Amanda Chastain.
And the parents of Lyman?
Grant and Althea.
Yeah,
Eddie.
Grant.
Althea. Do you know where any of your grandparents came from?
Yes, they came from, this is, on October the 10th, 1750, a man named William Zachary was born. Although his parentage is unknown, it is believed that William's father came from England and settled in Virginia near the lower part of Maryland. At the age of 14, William apprenticed a bricklayer for 7 years and later became a brick mason. The first record of William Zachary is a land purchase on October the 14th, 1776 in Louisa County, Virginia. The land was sold 2 years later. William married Jeremy Johnson, who was born October 28, 1755. No records have been found, but it is believed that they were married sometime between 1776 and 1778. The couple moved to Surry County, North Carolina, from the Potomac River Valley in 1779.
And when did they come to Highlands, the Zacharys?
They did not come to Highlands. They
When they left Surry County, they came?
The Cashers, didn't they?
well, yeah, but I don't know whether that was the one or not. I guess he was the one. Yeah, he was the one. He had loaned a man some money, or went on his bond, and when they were up in Surry County, and the man skipped the bond, and he went to Georgia and Alabama. He wound up in Alabama hunting this man. He didn't find him, but then when they came back, they came through Cashers Valley, and they fell in love with Cashers Valley, and that's where
they moved to.
Yeah, they moved to.
You know what year that was?
Well, I've got here somewhere if I can find it, and let me see. Yeah. Oh yeah. It says, after trying to track a fugitive in North Georgia, John, now this is John Zachary. This was one of William's son. He was the one that went down there and did that. And he came back through Cashers Valley, and he returned home, and he and his son came back to Cashers Valley. And they arrived in Cashers Valley on August of 1833.
1833. Do you know how, or have you heard how the town of Highlands and Cashers, how it existed then? What part existed at that time?
It said they came back. They made improvements on the land and returned to Surry County in the fall of 1834. In January of 1835, John took most of all his family to the new home in Cashiers Valley. Later that year, he entered a land grant, purchasing 640 acres of land for only $64.
Son of a gun. I'll take that.
The famous and historical Hampton Inn, owned by the family of Civil War General Wade Hampton III, now occupies some of this property. That was real interesting.
Yeah.
In 1839, Colonel John A. Zachary was the first postmaster in Cashiers Valley. 33 years later, John A. died. And they're both buried, and his wife died 4 years later, and they're both buried in the Lower Zachary Cemetery in Cashiers.
Now, where is the Lower Zachary Cemetery located?
I don't know. I've never been there.
I know.
Okay.
I don't know if I can tell you or not, but you go down toward the medical center
Uh-huh.
and you turn left and go up there.
Okay, I
And
know where that.
okay, there's two cemeteries. The lower, you go on out farther to the end of the road, and it'll be the upper Zachary.
Ah,
Go
okay.
up to there.
And here's another son now. His name was
Do you know,
Alexander. They called him Andy.
is that the one that lived in Cashiers, over in the Norton, I mean?
No, these all lived in Cashiers because this Andy helped him his father over there and to till the land and everything. And then he married. He helped his father settle land in Cashiers Valley. And then he married in 1834 in Macon County.
Macon.
Now, I don't
So
know
now
how-
he's moved to Macon probably because he got married in Macon.
His wife was Sarah Isabel Wilson. And then they had 11 children, and 22 years later he died, and they are both buried in the Upper Zachary Cemetery in Cashiers.
Oh,
That's down near Hampton.
Yeah, you turn left right before you get.
Now then they had another, this Alexander and Andy had a son named Wash Zachary, and I've heard a lot. Daddy used to talk about him, but I don't
how do
know.
you spell that? W-A?
W-A-S-H. His name was Alexander Washington. And they had 11 children. My goodness.
Got a bunch of kids.
This is a tombstone that you wash.
He owned a 150-acre farm on Laurel Knob Road in Norton, North Carolina.
Oh,
That's
Laurel, okay.
So they're getting closer.
Uh-huh.
And
You don't know the year that, or did Lyman, when did he come to
okay,
Highlands?
I'm getting right down here to it, I think. Wash and Elizabeth had their first son, Grant Zachary. Now that was
That's your granddad. Granddad.
on December 29th, 1867 in Jackson County. Grant married Althea Evitt, whose exact birth date is unknown, but was born sometime in 1871. Grant was known across the county for making moonshine. Making moonshine was illegal, which is why in 1912, Deputy Sheriff James Price went to Grant's home with a warrant for his arrest. Price surrounded the house, and when Zachary realized he was surrounded, he grabbed a Winchester and began firing at Price. So he was shot 7 times.
Now, was he shot at the house out here on
Yeah,
the
he
shore?
was where we were raised.
kitchen
They
yard.
always told
In the
us,
kitchen yard.
they always
That's what
told
they
us
told
it
me.
was haunted. The only time I thought it was haunted.
I heard that they had they hung clothes on the nails on the walls, and he had a trap door upstairs in the loft, and that's where he stayed whenever they were searching for him. Is that right?
I never saw no trap door as long as I was there, and I never saw a ghost or a haint. But one morning about 3 o'clock, I was slipping in. I thought I met one. I guess it was my conscience. Oh gosh! And if Mom and them woke them up, I'd have really thought it was.
Lyman and Dory had how many children?
11.
They had 11 children.
And could you?
I have to tell you this. Grant's Price was shot too, but then my grandmother Price nursed him back to health. Can you believe that? So I don't know where she did it out there at the house or where?
I remember, Wade's mama telling me about that.
Uh-huh. And they died, and she died in 1917, and then they're both buried at the Evatt Cemetery in Norton, North Carolina. And his first son was Lyman Zachary, born in 1898.
And he had some brothers and sisters, and their names are?
Bert. Bert.
Let's see, Bert Zachary, Florence Zachary, and Bertie Zachary. They were just four of them.
Florence is
Butch said
married
that he got shot younger, but then he didn't have 11 children.
Florence married a
That's what they
McKinney,
Mm-hmm.
and Bertie,
Married, Spooner.
okay. That's Dorothy's mother?
Yeah, and she went to Missouri. And Dorothy was, she died in Missouri, and I guess she's buried out there, I don't know. But Dorothy was sent back here to my mama and daddy.
And they raised her.
Yeah, now Dorothy tells me that she went back to Missouri 2 or 3 times, but I don't think they was in, I think she was, that one time was all. That's all that Mama and I ever knew about it. They put her on a train with a card with her name on it and everything, and Daddy met her in Cornelia, Georgia. And I don't think she ever went back.
Now, he had some brothers,
No.
just Bert?
Okay. Those 4. Then Daddy and Mama had
11 children, and their
Uh-huh.
names are?
Claude Zachary, Carl Lee Zachary, Eva Mildred Zachary, Maddie Elizabeth, Bernice.
If you could back up just a little bit and start again and tell Claude and who he married and how many children he had.
Okay, Claude G. Zachary. He married Rebecca Beal, and they had one adopted son. And Carl Lee Zachary married Bessie Henry, and they had one daughter. And Eva Mildred Zachary married Kurt Wilson, and we had 2 children. Maddie Elizabeth married James Crawford. They had 3 children. And Bernice Zachary married Henry Hedden. How many children? 4 children. Lloyd Zachary married Georgia Nicholson.
Not
Nichols,
Nichols.
Nichols, and they had 3 children. James A. Zachary married, oh Lord, I don't know who Betty's,
It's all right.
I don't know what her last name was. They had one daughter. Ernestine Zachary married Eldon Reed.
2.
Well, they had one deceased.
Did they?
3, I think
Yeah, little girl.
3.
Son of a gun.
And Lillian Zachary married Lyndall Waller, and they had 3 children. And Rena P. Zachary married Kenneth James. She had 5 children. She died at age 35. And Lucille Zachary married Wade Potts. And how many?
Had 5.
5 children. And that's it.
That's it. What did Brenda die of?
Um,
Heart attack?
Yeah, they call it heart attack. She went to a ball game and one night, and 4 o'clock next morning she was gone.
Now, if we could have Bert's, Bert, it's Bert instead of
Bert.
B-E-R-T,
Right.
Bert's family. And Bert, Lyman, his mother died at the first year they were married, according to your records, and they took Lyman took Bert to raise. He was 9 years
9
old
years old.
at the time.
Daddy was, you want when he was born and everything?
If you've got all that, that's good.
He was born October the 9th of 1908 and died November the 10th of 90. He was married to Callie Leona Talley. And they had 7 children. Jesse, Jeanette, and I have 3 children.
Tell who you married.
I married Lonnie Manley. Charles had 1 child. His name was Edwin. Charles was a twin to Harley, who was born dead.
And Charles married.
Charles married Peggy Ann Talley. Samuel Zachary married Frances McCall.
They
They have 2 children.
George.
George was married to Brenda Speed, and they had 4 children. 3 children.
I was trying to figure out what that fourth one's name was.
3 children. And they named both their sons George.
How about that?
Mike married June Crane, and they had 4 children. And Elizabeth married Romaine Webb, and she had 1 son. And that's all of Daddy's children.
How many of the original of your families still live in Highlands?
Well, we just have 1 brother.
That's in Virginia.
Six girls.
Yeah,
Live in
6
Highlands.
girls, yeah.
And your family?
The ones that are living, all except 1.
And that's your youngest sister? Where's
She lives in
live?
Mountain Rest, South Carolina.
Could you tell me some of the things that your parents talked about whenever they first came to Highlands, what they thought about the town of Highlands? I'm sure you've heard them talk about how it's grown, how the economics of times have changed and all this. I know I've heard my mom say, boy, you got it easy. You don't remember how it was whenever I was little, you know.
I don't remember,
Like,
it was kind
like
of...
where was the post office at? Can you remember where the first post office was at?
Well, I remember when they were talking about going to school out at Shortoff. Now, I don't know, I don't think Mom and Daddy went to school out there.
Did
But
they
talked
finish?
about it.
Did they finish high school, or
Oh,
did they go?
no.
What grade did they go to in school? Do you know?
It wasn't the school up near where the hospital
Yeah,
is now?
yeah, that's where it was.
They talked about that school a lot, and then they had church up there at that school building, and that's where we went to church.
And how they walked in the bad weather, good weather, whatever.
To go to church,
To go to church or school.
And Mom and Daddy were real good, you know, to help people. They
Yeah.
could walk,
and all of you still are, and we appreciate that.
well, we don't do as
It
much
carried
as they
down
did.
through the generations, and it does help to carry on. Anybody gets in trouble, and they're always there to help. That means a lot.
We remember them talking about the sanatorium TV.
Yeah, we had
Sanatorium.
Yeah, now Mom...
Where the rec
Did
park
they
is.
did they work with any of that?
I don't think so. See,
What,
Mama...
what kind of work did your dad do, and Bert? What kind of work did they do?
Well, Daddy did logging there for a while, and then he worked
Yeah,
for...
cut acid wood.
Now,
Yeah.
where did they log at?
I don't know, and then he worked for the Forest Service in later life.
Short Off Mountain
And what
was one of the
kind of
places they cut wood.
what kind of animals and things did they log with? What, did they have a vehicle or something? Did they use horses, steers, or what did they use?
Horses.
Mules.
Horses.
No vehicle. We didn't ever have a vehicle.
Do you remember the first car?
Yeah, Daddy had, yeah. I had to remember the first car, because Daddy took me to Wall Holler. And I had
The
a
first
quarter
car
to
he ever
spend.
owned was what?
And what it wasn't a car, it was a pickup like thing.
I didn't know Daddy ever.
Yeah, he did. Daddy used to deliver milk for Philo Haddon too.
And
Pretty
what
low.
did he deliver it in?
Well, I don't know whether he had his truck then or not. He probably did.
Didn't he have a wreck down on Stump House?
I don't know.
Yeah, I've heard about that. Wreck.
Yeah. But Daddy had an old pickup.
And that's what he did most of his life, is logging and cutting acid wood and things like that?
And worked for the Forest Service.
In
Later years, he worked several years.
Did he ever help build the road from Franklin to Highlands 64
I
through
don't
there?
think so.
Is there any significant places around town that he helped build or work on or anything?
I don't think so.
Bert?
I can't think of any.
What did Bert do for a living?
He did, when we were growing up, he did cutting the acid wood and stuff, and then in later years, he was caretaker for the summer residents.
Well, you said acid wood. Now, what did they do with acid wood? Did they cut it? Where did they take it?
I tried to think how they did it. I can remember we would walk miles to go to them on the weekend and camp with them. So they stayed, they stayed under Short-Off Mountain all the week,
Cutting the
cutting
wood.
up acid wood.
Then they hauled that on some kind of vehicle too.
There was a big truck, but I don't have any notion of whose truck or what it was, but they just cut and cut, and in time they came with a truck.
Now, what is sunburst?
I don't know. It must have been, you
Some
remember
mountain
I
Sunburst?
don't
there.
remember Sunburst.
Some
I remember
mountain.
Daddy talking about Sunburst, and I got an idea he must have worked there. It was somewhere over, I think it's
Toward
in
Lake
Jackson
Coxsackie?
County, I think. And they must have went over there and worked in the timber.
Did you grew your own vegetables and food and things for your home? If there was no money coming in from how did you get things like sugar and coffee and things like that? Where did you go to get those? Or how did they come across? Did they use the barter system, or how did they get those things?
I don't know. I know when Daddy would be off somewhere and come in, I guess that's maybe when he was working at Sunburst. Sometimes he'd bring us candy and maybe, I remember peanut butter. Oh, that was a treat if you got
But
peanut
did
butter.
Mama
remember
work
that
some
too.
too?
Well, Mama worked, but Mama
Did
worked
she
for
work
Liz.
away from home?
Yeah, she did
What did she
in
do?
later life.
But she took in washing and ironing a lot.
Did she?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And then she cleaned house
She
for
worked
people.
with-
She worked for Elizabeth
Then
Edwards.
she worked
did
in the
what?
lunchroom.
Helped make Julia with Elizabeth Edwards.
Yeah.
Did
She worked in the lunchroom before that though.
She worked in the school lunchroom? In the old building
Old
where the
building.
ABC store is now?
And she took in a lot of washing and ironing. Don't you remember that? She took me around to the
They used to
spring.
take
We stay all day.
canned beans from home and things like that and trade it in for their meals at school.
We
Potatoes,
did that.
cabbage.
Yeah. You did that?
I did that.
Uh-huh.
And Miss Helen Thompson, was, she was head of the lunchroom. That was the old school up on the hill where
Right,
the
for the
theater is.
ABC store, yeah.
Yeah, we didn't have much money, and they would take it like that.
Yeah,
And then
they,
she cooked it.
That is the difference between the free meals they get today and the meals people back then would take their beans and corn and taters and things and swap for the meals instead of having free
Yeah,
lunches
nothing
like
was
they have
free
today.
back then. You had to.
Do you all have gardens now? Nobody has gardens now?
Lil
Lil
does.
Lil still has garden?
Not this year, but
Do you?
before.
Yeah.
She's retired
Do
from
you
garden.
did you preserve your vegetables and fruits and things like that? Did
Well,
you
I still do that.
You freeze?
Yeah, freeze and can.
Canned beans.
When was the first time you ever saw a refrigerator?
Oh.
We had an old ice box. It wasn't a refrigerator, and you kept ice in it. How did we get the ice? Off of that little pond down there?
Make
How did you store the ice for the?
We didn't have it it's when you came along. When I was there, we didn't.
We didn't
didn't
have
have anything.
electricity.
No, we didn't have
When
it.
did electricity come to Highlands? When do you remember that?
I know it came to our house after I was born when I was pretty good size.
Now, when was that, 400 years ago, or just 12?
When I was about, Kurt put it in the old house. How old was I, 9 or 10? 9 or 10? Been about 50 years ago.
About 50 years ago?
I'm telling my age.
Well, that's all right. The refrigerators, freezers,
I don't
and
know.
things that we have today, they had things like watering troughs where they kept their milks and things to keep
In the
spring.
spring,
Oh,
in the
spring.
spring.
springs.
Oh, and churn.
Yeah,
Oh, boy.
churn your
Churn your
buttermilk.
butter.
Did y'all have cows and pigs and chickens and
yeah.
everything like that for your own meats and things?
Oh, yeah.
And you did all your own butchering, or did you take that someplace to be butchered?
No, no.
Daddy did it.
Daddy did it.
The
How did you
neighbors
preserve
helped, the neighbors helped usually though,
How did you
family
pres-
and neighbors.
And we had haying. Now, I remember Mama always dreaded haying because she'd have to cook a lot, for the people that was doing it. And haying was a hard time. They put it up for the cattle.
for the cattle for the winter?
Put it in big stacks. They didn't bale it like they do now. They had them big stacks.
And they stored pumpkins and things in those stacks to keep those things? In the barn loft and where was your barn at from where the house is now?
Down below the house. It's fallen in now. It was down below,
Out toward Leo's house, or Seal's
No,
house?
down below.
It's kind of
Bernice's
behind
house?
Bernice's,
kind of
if you're
below,
looking
Back
at-
toward
behind
Maggie's.
Bernice's.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm, okay.
and they had a cellar where they put the apples up for the winter.
And they stored all fruits and vegetables that you could down there?
Wasn't there a time too I remember Mama burying cabbage in the ground for the
Yeah, we
winter.
did that.
Yeah.
And
Makes them
potatoes.
sweet,
Yeah, you dig a hole
Boy.
and
right?
put your potatoes in the hole and
Right.
put boards over it and then put dirt over that to keep them from freezing.
That's what they did. And your dad did the same, I'm sure. Whenever you saw on the television that we have today that a person had a spaceship and they had landed on the moon, can you think what your parents, or were they living then, and what did they think of what would they have thought of a man landing on the moon?
When did it land on the moon?
I don't remember what year.
69, I think it was.
69.
Well, now Mama died in 69, and
68.
Daddy
Was still living.
He was living.
What did Bert think?
Oh, they were messing up the weather for one thing, going into space. But I don't remember him ever commenting on, whether they were on the moon or anything like that.
Tell me what the roads were like, Mildred, whenever you were young. What kind of roads did they have?
They were awful. I remember Mr. Maiden Keener drove the school bus. We didn't miss a day. And it was muddy. They'd have to get out and push. The kids would get out, the younger boys, and help him. And he was great driver.
What kind of school bus was that? Do you remember the make of that school bus?
Oh, no. But I guess it was kind of made like they are now. I don't remember. But it was pretty good size.
The colors were the same?
I think it was. I think it was orange. But coming up Bearpin, I remember it was so muddy.
Was
But
it
even
gravelled even, or did it just a plain dirt road? And what year are we talking
Oh,
about?
it was dirt. It wasn't gravel. There wasn't any gravel around.
What year are we talking about?
Well, when I went to school. Let's see.
60-some years ago.
Yeah, it was when Kurt and I were married. They were just, and that was 1939. They were just paving the Walmart Road. So
Into
they-
Highlands.
Into Highlands.
Did we have the same roads coming into Highlands as we have now?
Yeah, I guess, yeah. We never did,
Which road going toward Cashier did you use first? I mean, did some people go through Horse Cove and back to Cashier's, or did they just go over the mountain? I understand there was a toll gate over toward Cashier's on the road over there?
I don't know anything about it. We didn't go nowhere much. I went
We
one
just
time.
walked from short off to
Yeah,
town.
we walked
when
to town.
when
And if we went to see a movie, when I was growing up, we walked from short off to town to the movie.
And the theater was up by the schoolhouse.
How long
where
did
the
that
playhouse
take you
is
to walk
now.
into town?
I don't know how long it took us. It was fun.
It
We
was
didn't mind.
3 miles, so
Mhm.
we just walked over here and walked back.
You planned extra time so you'd have time to get there and have a little fun on the way.
It was a treat to see a movie, and I guess it cost about 10 cents or a quarter. I don't remember how much. We didn't have much money, 11 children in the family, I don't know. We always had
Most families
something
back
going
then
on.
were large though, weren't they?
Yeah.
Do you know why you have a idea or something of why they had big families back then? Did they didn't know about family planning or didn't
No,
care
that's
about
right.
family
They
planning
didn't know about it.
or what? Or
Well, they didn't know about
or
it.
did they have to have large families to help work in the fields or something to
No,
raise
they
the
just
crop?
had large family because they didn't know
They
what
didn't
to
know.
do. That's right.
Or didn't care if they had no.
I'm sure they didn't want all of them. Nobody wants.
Well, heck,
wants a
I
big
would have liked to have 25 if I could have, but I I always wanted ball team.
Well, I'm sure that they just they didn't have anything for protection, and they just had big families.
Probably
Now-
didn't. Now, I know that in the bigger towns and things, they did know about things like that, but mostly out in the countries, the people didn't.
You mean way back then, Ann?
Sure. They have old things like snuff boxes like this where they used to. Really, I'm not telling you. They pack them in things. They are collector's items now.
Never seen one. Never seen one. I didn't know. I thought that it was maybe as we got.
Okay.
But Mama and Daddy, they were so good. And then, they when Dorothy came to Mama from Missouri, well, they raised Dorothy.
So that made 2 children besides the 11 they had that they raised.
Oh no!
Bill.
And then
Bill?
Bill came along.
Bill was Bernice's son.
Yeah, Bill was Bernice's son.
So that makes 14 children.
No,
on
they
the
raised
Janice.
Bill, and
Then Dan's
Janice came along, and when Nettie died, somehow Janice came to Mom and Daddy. I don't know how long they kept her.
Louise
kept her a
and
year or two.
Pearl came there too for a while, didn't they?
No.
Then
Did
they
they?
went somewhere else to stay.
Did they go? Did they?
Lily says she did too.
Lily did so.
Yeah, Lily
Did-
did. But
Well,
Janice
did
came.
they take them all in at one time?
No, didn't Janice come when her mama was 7 when her mama died?
I don't really know.
About 7. Okay, and she stayed with Lily for a while, and then that didn't work out.
So like my
she
mom,
came.
you all had a big family. She had nieces and nephews that she took care of through the years, and she had 10 children, 9 that lived, so she had a big family too. So I sort of get the idea. I know what you're talking about.
Janice was probably 8 when she come and stayed till she was about 17.
I like a big family.
Oh, did she stay that long?
Because I know, because she grew up with me and Rena.
Yeah. See,
Bill.
Rena and Seal came along after I left home, and
In the last 50 years, looking back through Highlands, tell me some things that you've seen change. Do you remember a pool hall? Do you remember a bowling alley? Do you remember a golf course in the town? Just things that you remembered over the years? What has happened to the change of the town of Highlands?
we had the movie. We had two bowling alleys. One at on Main Street, Wilton Cobb had it. One down at Charlie Brooks's, and we had roller skating on the down where the veranda is now. I worked all day.
Was that
and
in inside building?
Yeah, right where they are now, and they roller skating. I've roller skated a lot too. We had Helen's
Did you wear a
farm.
pillow on your back?
Oh, I can believe it. I learned to roller skate, but I didn't learn to ice skate.
And the pool hall was on Main Street.
Yeah, we had a pool hall on Main Street, and we had Helen's farm. We had a lot to do, and that is one thing that
We don't have
Highlands-
today.
They need something for our young people. Now, my grandson was here last week from Atlanta, and he was just bored all weekend, nothing to do.
Uh,
So I think that is the biggest thing that Highlands needs to do.
One of the improvement that you think now is we need some kind of entertainment for younger people.
Yeah, young
Because
people.
we had Helen's Barn.
We had
You know,
Helen's
we look
Barn.
forward to that every
Yeah.
Friday and Saturday night.
And
Mostly
tell me some of
Saturday
your
night,
recommendations for that kind of entertainment. What kind of entertainment would you suggest that they have?
Well, I don't know about movies now. Of course, you know, TV.
Yeah.
That kind of put the damper on movies, but I love
Talking of
Helen's
movies,
Barn.
did you ever see a silent movie?
Oh yeah, we saw them all the time.
What do you mean all the time?
Well,
I never saw one.
I didn't ever
oh
see
yeah,
one.
I saw 'em. We had
You
silent. Yeah, we had them. We had them here.
Tell me some people that were in those silent movies.
Oh, I don't know. I've forgotten. But now, of course, Clark Gable wasn't, but he was my idol. I still think he's the best. But I don't remember that. But a lot of those movies were Western.
Uh-huh.
So, but really, it would be good.
And the theater was up where the Playhouse is now, right?
Yeah, now that was one thing Mr. Summer was, we need to give him a lot of credit for that because he did, and then you went to the movies then, you know, it would be
Yeah.
about full.
Did you go to things like chicken pen hunting and
Oh, yeah.
things like that when you were young?
Yeah.
Chestnut hunting, we saw.
Did you go in groups or?
No, we went up on the hill, usually above where the
Hospital.
hospital is now. And then we had, on Daddy's place, they had chestnuts. We'd get up about just the break of day and get out and hunt those chestnuts.
Lil, what did you do for fun whenever you were young?
Well, at Helen's Barn,
Yeah.
I guess.
Okay.
We danced.
What else?
We went bowling when they had the bowling alley. That would be nice
And
for
ice
Highlands now,
skating.
because a lot of our
Bowling
people
alley.
go to Franklin.
Well, we have a guy that's got the bowling alley plan all fixed out, and he said if he could get somebody to take it over, he would do that. But
They go to Seneca too. Someone goes to Seneca.
I go to Franklin once a week, but so I always get hurry up and get it. What else do you think?
In the wintertime, we'd go down to Lake Sequoia ice skating.
Ice skating.
But the
Don't
temperature's
freeze over
changed now. We
anymore.
don't have
Yeah,
ice.
that's
Used
right.
to.
What can we do to remedy that?
Don't let it get
Stop
cold.
putting all salt
Flood
in it.
the
Yeah, the salt.
flood the tennis courts up at the rec park somehow and
Well,
ice them out?
yeah, you know.
Can we do that?
Yeah, that'd be a good
I've
idea.
That's a
read
good
that.
idea.
Yeah, I like those indoor, like the Omni in Atlanta, you know, they used to have ice skating, I guess. they
But we
still
don't have a
do.
building for that. And you know, the town just turned down $4 million to build a building there. They just gave it back to the lady. She took it back from them.
Where?
Yeah,
Oh, you mean the Arts Center?
yeah, so they don't want no more buildings on their property.
Well, the town has a load, you know, so.
So if they want a building for some kind of recreation or something, what do you think they should do if somebody gives us money to build a building? I think they ought to give us enough money to staff that for years or something.
Well, I'm gonna complain, and I know this is going on there. This building over here, when it first went up, that was for everybody. We could have that building to, the community center, to have our picnic, or, you know, now like Easter, we had
Yes.
a big get-together. We were over across the street there, and if it's bad, they have it in my house. But I asked them, I went to the Chamber of Commerce and asked them about getting it in there one year. And they told me $200 for 3 hours. Well, you know, that hurts. It hurts us local people because you can't pay that kind of money.
Right.
And then, of course, the Civic Center, they were good to let us go up there when they were open, but they close on Easter now. And And they're real good at the Civic Center. That's good. But this over here bugs me. It really does. I don't know who's got the control of it, but there's something wrong, because we need a place that we can go and at a reasonable price. I couldn't.
Just for me, for camp, family gatherings and.
Yeah, things like that. And that's what this was built for when they put it up. But it doesn't take long for it to get out of hand.
Right.
And I know I've been here all my life, and we've been in business, and it's just that way.
Y'all own the Wilson Electric and Gas Company. And how many years have you owned that?
Well, when Kurt came out of the Navy,
And
he worked for Tudor Hall 2 years, and then we
was
went
that
in
1940?
1948.
48.
We've had it since then.
And Tudor Hall's, he worked for him. And
Yeah,
is that where he learned to do this?
He went in, no, Kurt knew electrician. He was town electrician before he went into service. And then he was electrician in the Navy on the ship. He was electrician. And he went in business with Tudor Hall, but it just lasted about 2 years. Then we went on our own. And we were down where Chandler Inn is.
Chandler Inn? Oh, that's down here.
Yeah, that's
the
where we
corner.
live.
Can you think of anything else you'd like to include in this?
Oh, remember when the post office was on Main Street? No parking problems? Remember that?
It sure is different now. And I guess it's
Do you
going to keep
remember?
changing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think that the influx of all of the people, the visitors that come here and have stayed has hurt or helped our community?
It seems different now. When we were first in business, we had the Woodruffs, the Rainwaters, and they were all wonderful. They were so liberal with their money. I mean, the Woodruffs were, they gave Dennis a banjo, Ms. Woodruff did. They were always doing things for you.
Individual people instead of...
And they came to my house, and they seemed closer then, the ones that were there then, than they are now. I don't know anybody now.
Is that because there's so many more now than they were then?
Yeah, and I think people are a little different. I don't know.
The shape of the town?
We had really, really wonderful people. But
We still have.
we
I'm
have
here.
them.
Oh, another thing I forgot to tell you, Mama did work for Sonny Young's mother. Remember when she worked? Yeah, she did.
You know that?
Mhm.
Yeah, we have nice people now, but I guess it's just because it's getting
It's
just
awfully
grown so
crowded
much.
though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
There's
too
a
much
house,
of a good
house
thing.
on every little hilltop, valley, and curve now, aren't they?
Mhm.
I went to Holly Forest today, down below Cassius. I have never seen as much building as here. Cassius is really good.
It's really building up.
And Highlands is too, but we're going to have to stop one of these days unless they hang them on the cliff like they do.
Always wanted to hang glide, did you?
And then another
Lord.
thing, Ann, is the price too of the land.
It's astronomical now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, what do you think your dad would have paid for his house place whenever he when he first moved there?
He inherited that. He didn't pay anything.
I know, but what would he have paid for it if he had bought that? And how much land was there at that
Well,
time?
that's about 600 something acres for
No, that's,
$64.
did he get,
Okay.
he didn't inherit the whole 600 something acres?
No, he Daddy he
Is it-
divided up that out
He
there, but I
inherited
think
about 30.
Is this
Yeah.
where the old house place is part of that 640 acres?
all of that was Daddy's. No, this was in Casher's Valley. This 640
Okay.
acres for that $64.
Right.
Yeah, but Daddy didn't. I think Daddy owned all of that, didn't he? Did he inherit all of that?
There was
No, it
30-something
was the-
acres in the whole plot there?
No, Dorothy got her mama's part.
Oh, that's the way they divided
Then Daddy
it.
got some.
Your daddy got his part. I don't know about 8 Florence.
I don't
never
know
did
about
Where
find
did
out
your
how-
dad, where did your dad?
Where
Over where
the,
Maddie lives.
yeah, on to the left of Maddie's there, if you're looking from the
And
old
Maddie's
place.
place too, didn't he?
That Bell House or
Yeah.
Haley.
Is that where Bert's part was?
Mm-hmm. And Dorothy got a big part.
And
And
there was
then,
30-something acres altogether,
No.
or was that?
Wasn't much land there. It's right down the street, you
But
know where it is.
yeah, I know where it is, but I
A
don't.
lot, but
It's a house,
the
nice.
house was there and everything, and
You
that's what
lived
we
in that
paid.
house, and your business was there too?
Yeah, we had the business there. We built that shop down there. And then, but that's what, we bought it from Tudor Hall. No, we bought it from a Devonian that lived there. We sold it to Tudor Hall. But that shows you how much the difference is now. I don't know what it's worth now down there. Of course, they built a lot down there. We bought 3 acres, 2.5 acres of land on Wilson Gap Road. Paid $300 for it. See there? It's just something.
It's like 1,000% or 2,000% profit by now.
That's
In
right.
how many years?
That's 1947 is when we bought that down there, yeah.
47, 50 years. That's a lot of profit in it. Changing over the years.
Of course,
If
a
you
lot
could've held
that was
on to that all those years.
Yeah, $6,000 was a lot of money then, you know.
Yeah.
You didn't,
It's a lot of money now.
yeah, that's right, but it seemed to go,
Yeah, Steve, go further.
it sure did. And you could have your, when Kurt went to work for the town, he was making about $90 a month.
A month. What was the cost of a pound of coffee in 1950? Yes. 1940.
Okay, yes, I don't know.
during the war, I know we had stamps to buy things with.
Yeah.
Sugar.
Ration stamps.
Rations.
Do you remember hearing about the Depression? And how did your family get through the Depression?
I don't know. I don't know much about the Depression. I was here then, and I was about 10 years old, I guess. When was it, 32? 31. I don't know. We didn't
Did
see,
it
we
seem like it
lived
was
at
any
home.
different than it used to be, or is it just about the same?
Oh, we lived at home, and I don't think that we paid too much more attention to it then. I didn't. Of course, these kids didn't know that.
I
But,
wasn't born.
yeah. And Leo,
She's calling you kids now, listen to her.
but we didn't tell much more difference in it.
You couldn't tell much difference? Do you
See, we
remember your
lived at
mom and
home.
Dad talking about the Depression?
Not really. I can remember talking of the Depression, but not really.
About how they
What?
existed and what things, how hard things were or anything?
No, I don't
There was
remember.
not much difference in the town of Highlands in the Depression,
No, I
because
think it's
most
just really
everybody
hard.
here,
I think they had it so hard that
It was
I
hard
I didn't pay no
yeah.
attention to it.
Yeah.
That's
The
right, you
Depression,
didn't.
it was, you just survived.
And you
That
see,
was
we
it.
didn't have television, we didn't have things like that. We didn't really know what was going on in the world. We didn't have a radio, we didn't have anything. And if during World War II, if my mama had television and we'd had what we got today, I don't know where she could have stood it or not. She had 4 sons, wasn't it?
3.
3 sons, and how many son-in-laws in
service.
service, you see.
How did you hear the end of the war? How did you know about that? How did you find out about the end of the war?
World War II?
Gosh, I wasn't here one, so what not to?
How we heard about it, but we all
We
came to town and celebrated.
We
I tell ya.
celebrated, yeah. I remember that.
You don't know how you got the news?
I don't remember how we got the news.
How we got it either, but I
I
know we
don't
got
think
big
it wasn't a real,
celebrations.
was it pretty wild celebrating? I can't remember.
You don't remember? I remember.
No, that's
we got
funny,
it.
What did you do?
We're just hung around Main Street, you know, and just, everybody's just celebrating, you know,
Oh,
real
yeah.
happy.
Real happy?
Yeah. We all came to town, in fact, to tell you, everybody did.
Kurt's
No, I
ship
don't
was the next one to the Missouri. He was right in there, ready to fight. They were. So I didn't know it until Dr. Baumwerkel's daddy was on, they were on destroyer. But he was right up the one next to the destroyer. I mean the Missouri.
Mm.
So it took him quite a long time to get home.
When you-
Finally got back to California and he hadn't been paid. He was broke. So, you know, it was a hard time getting those boys home.
When you heard the Japs had bombed Pearl Harbor, do you remember that? Was he in the service then?
No, he was drafted. I guess all of our brothers was drafted, wasn't he?
Did your dad serve in the
No.
service?
He was never in the military.
Either of your brothers been in service?
Sam was in the Army.
What does Sam do now?
He's a caretaker
And,
at a farm in Clear Creek.
and your brother George is dead,
He died.
and Charles is dead.
Right.
So that leaves
Mike. And
two and two. Two
Yeah.
girls and two boys.
Mike is disabled with a lung
And
problem.
And he stays at home now all the time.
Right, exactly.
You have, at your house, you have, how many is dead in your family now?
4. 4. 3 boys and 1 girl.
3 boys and 1 girl. Well,
And I want to tell you this, when Butchie was getting up this report, he found that the Zacharys did have some slaves.
had slaves. And what year was that?
I don't know, didn't put no year, but they did have slaves.
Had slaves and become slaves after 400 years of working, did we?
Now where'd they get them slaves, you reckon, at that time? They mulattoes, they called them mulattoes.
Call them what?
Mulattoes, M-U-L-A-T-T-O, mulatto. Is that a color, that's a colored person, I think. That was interesting. So they must, I don't know, little now probably seem to think that some of them had money. They didn't pass it down though.
Well,
Maybe they used it up with the years.
Oh, another interesting thing, and I guess I can say this if you're gonna edit this. Mama used to take us to the Methodist church, you know, to colored singings too. We really enjoyed that. You remember going? That's
I
unusual
like
for
to go
Highlands,
still.
you know.
I like to feel a spirit moving in me whenever
Oh,
I
they
go.
had singings at the Methodist.
Now Mama
church.
took y'all, and she didn't take us that because we,
Did me?
that's when we had cover.
Did you ever go, Jesse?
We went to the Episcopal.
Not as a child. I went a few years back when they had services there.
Uncle Lemmy
Went
used to
the
take
service.
us to those singings, different kinds of singings, and some of those were that. So.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, it's unusual because it's colored singing,
Yeah,
you know, and
yeah.
you don't see that many colored people in Highlands.
There's not very many, but they're getting more now than there was.
Well, these were the people that Carter that came up with the summer.
I think there used to be a colored family or two lived here, didn't they? I've heard Mom and Dad talk. I think they were.
I've heard Mr. J tell us about them, yeah.
Was it?
Down on Henry Street, I call it Henry Street. I don't know what that street, that street is down there.
Poplar Street.
No, not Poplar, it's across
Which
the
Henry?
street here.
Daddy said there was a
Down
colored
on
man buried in Horse Cove somewhere.
Oh, it's full.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any Indian ancestry in your family?
Daddy always said that he did, but I don't know.
They
Why
kind of
he
look
said
like
that.
it, some of them did, I
Yes, they did.
believe. If you go over to the Abbott's, you see them.
There was a Indian village above Maiden Keeners back in there at one time. Back up there on the hill up through there, there was an Indian village in there. Do you remember your dad and Nana talking anything about that? I know that in our garden down there, we dig up a lot of Indian arrowheads and things in the garden.
We used to find a lot over in there too.
Yeah. You used to live over in that area over in there. My nephew claims to be a, what percentage of Indian, and I said, well, boy, I'm not akin to him. I don't know. I don't have any as far as I can figure out in my family, and if I don't know how you have. So, but he still claims he is, and he is teaching Cherokee and some other kind of Indian language now in a college in Ohio. And I don't even know how, he never went to college to be a teacher, and he didn't even know how to speak it or anything, so I don't know where he's got this at. I figured he's gonna find out, blah, 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 blah. Oh, Lordy. We hear all kinds of things.
Mom's side? Or your daddy's
I have no
side?
idea. I have no idea. He just likes to talk. He used to be a police chief up in Cincinnati, Ohio, and I don't know how he got to that either. He was a professor over here at the college, and he never had even been to college. So we got all kinds of people there, man, right? So have you got any crazy stories like that happen to you?
I guess we can tell you some. I don't know whether we are too.
Yeah, that's what we're going to hear. Do we have anything else that you want to know about?
I can't think of anything at the moment. Go through this and be able to
Pick out what you need.
figure out, yeah.
Just pick out what you need, and sure don't put my picture in there.
No. Mr. Patterson was telling me that when they were building Franklin Road, you know, that there was a colored guy. They don't know if he was murdered or he just died. But he was buried right there where those pines are, somewhere in there. So there's a,
Where Carl and them used to have a house?
No, it's right below the Gold Mine Bridge on the left there. That he was buried right there. So there's a clump of rocks that
Where that
marks
little,
I never heard that
clearing
till
is
this.
down here?
You know,
Somewhere right in there.
Chastain.
the Chastain part of the family was her mother's folks, and Miller's going to tell us a little bit about the Chastain.
Well, let's finish up with the Zacharys first. I don't know where you're going to get this from the Chastains, Ann, unless you, I think that maybe Larry might have a little bit, I don't know.
Larry,
Larry Chastain?
Maxine's Larry?
Yeah.
Or Tom's Larry?
Maxine's Larry, I think. See, I got this from Maxine. That's all I got.
And your mother was Dora Chastain, and she had how many brothers and sisters?
They were 12 in that family,
12.
including Mama.
Can you give me their names?
You ready now to go on? Dora A. married Lyman Zachary. Dan S. married Nettie Keener. Albert, not married. Ayler Sloan Jr. married Agnes McKinney. Lawton L. married Lonnie. She was a German. He married in Germany. She lives in Columbia. And Robert H. married Eileen Prince. Henry married Maxine Evitt. George M. married Thelma Peden. William Andrews, he must have been a low. Well, let's see. William Andrews, I don't know who he was. He was born 9/6/1897 and died 11/7/32. Who was that?
I never heard
Never
of
heard of it.
Never heard of it.
And Lily married Claude Calloway, and Eva married Ernest Wise, and Amanda C. Now she was born 11/14/1912 and died 11/20/1912. Now that William Andrew, he would have been 32, 30,
Don't ring no
35
bells
years
with
old.
me.
Me either.
Must have died earlier.
35 years old. No, that was in the record over there.
Okay.
I never even heard about it, have you?
What did they do for a living?
I'm gonna stop for just a second.